Where have all the cowboys gone?
Oh my God.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 596 of the Two Dumb Yenders. I'd just like to say to everybody this morning, welcome back.
Welcome.
How you doing, Mike?
Doing good, man. Doing really, really good, man.
Good. Um, I was just going down through some of my playlists the other day, and one thing that I noticed, more than anything, is there's no modern day rocker chicks that if you go back to the 90s and look at all the music that we grew up with, there was so many different bands that was headed by chicks. No Doubt, for example,
Yeah, no
uh
doubt. Garbage.
Garbage, Veruca Salt.
Yeah.
I mean the Cranberries, the list goes on,
Yeah.
and they were all very good. And I just don't understand why that doesn't exist anymore. That was good music, man.
It was really good music. And I think that's what we were talking about this off air the other day. I mentioned Nikki Hale from Hailstorm. She's like a really good singer too. But outside of her, like you said, I don't see it a whole lot. Like even going through like having Spotify or Pandora or whoever make a playlist
Yeah,
for
you'll
you.
see. And
Yeah,
it's
you
a
don't see a
shame
lot of
because that
chicks.
as I go back and listen to some older music, that's really, I mean, that was really some of the better stuff.
Yeah.
You are cutting in and out, Mike. I'm having a very
So
difficult
I'm
time hearing
having
you.
you're cutting in and out. You look froze right now on my screen.
No, you don't. That's a shame because, like I said, and you really don't. If you go around and look, and from different, just different times and eras, that seems to be the only time that really had really good rock chick singers. I mean, in the '80s, you had bands like Heart and bands that did rock out,
Yeah.
but the '90s, it really took off with these female
Well,
singers, and it never came back.
no, and I is it just like that time in the '90s too? 'Cause that type of music that they were in was just popping off everywhere. Bands were getting signed left and right that did that alt rock grunge music, and even just like that type of rock music. It was just so popular in the '90s. It just blew up again from what it was in the '80s.
And
I don't
even
know.
stuff that
It was just a weird time in
wasn't
history for
really
music.
rock, Mike, like Joan Osborne. What if
Yeah.
God was one of us?
Yeah.
That song I was just singing, that cold
Yeah.
chick. Where's all the
Yeah.
cowboys go? Yeah, there's just that
There's
doesn't exist anymore.
no. Unless we're just not finding it anymore. Unless we're old and out of touch. But
No,
I don't
this
I
stuff's
refuse
garbage.
I refuse to believe we're old and out of touch.
Well, you might be old and out of touch. I could recognize that this is garbage. Everything that's on the radio right now is garbage as far as music. There's no good female rock singers. Yeah. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Two Dumb Yinzers. This is episode one more time, 596, only four short episodes away from the big 600.
Woo.
Apparently, Derpy, what his issue is, he has Wi-Fi issues out there. What does he live on a farm? I don't get what's the problem.
He got that McDonald's Wi-Fi.
I mean, you could go on your back porch and pick up 13 neighbors, Wi-Fi. What's going on?
I don't know.
It's not that I don't believe him. I think to myself, what's got to be the situation to why he doesn't have Wi-Fi?
Who knows? He's a mystery.
And I mean, people that don't, I mean, you could generally, you have data, right?
Yeah. Well, he said he doesn't want to use his data.
Oh fuck. You don't you I mean, come on, for the little amount that you would
Like,
be using, you don't blow through that data.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wait. I wonder if Derpy still has the talk by minute phone to where like he has to use nighttime minutes and weekend minutes or
Yeah,
free,
he
or is
might.
he still on one of those 90 plans? I think Ron Navy might be right. Derpy's probably Amish and he's just not telling us.
Hey, good morning, Ron. Yeah, he might be.
Wait,
I mean, what has he got? Dial up out? What's going on?
he got the 56K dial up out there.
He still gets some little tins of AOL
Oh yeah,
in the
the little
mail. Remember
CDs that
that?
would come in the mail. Those things were the shit back in the day.
Mm,
When those would come in there, hell yeah, baby, we get the internet for a month.
yeah. So that's that.
Oh, Derpy.
Derpy's in the one pocket of the United States that has no internet. I don't get
Yeah,
it.
he maybe yeah, he has no internet. He doesn't know what happened with the Steelers and the Pirates yesterday.
Mm.
That's why he's not on the show.
We must move on.
We
Things must
must.
move on. The show must move on. Derpy, come on. Pittsburgh Steelers. I just want to start by saying this before we get into the cuts, before we get into the 53-man roster, before we get into any possibilities of what may come next for this team. Mike, this is our wide receiver room as we speak. Tell me if you're ready for this NFL season to kick off. George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin III, Scotty Miller, and Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson, who hasn't seen any action. Calvin Austin, Scotty Miller, Van Jefferson, George Pickens. Mike, what do you think of this wide receiver room?
Outside of George Pickens, there's a whole lot of nothing.
We may have
There's
some
like,
problems here.
yeah, Scotty Miller in 5 years has the same amount of yards, actually 100 less yards than what George had last year.
Mm.
That's not good. Calvin Austin has what 180 yards all of last year. That's his career. Yeah,
So I'm hoping
it's
that
not
they
looking good.
continue to look. I mean, there are moves now. People are looking around at the cuts. People are
Yeah,
looking around to see who's out there. We're going to go over this shortly. We're going to talk about some of the people that are gone on the team, maybe some people that we felt that should still be there, and vice versa. So we will get to that in just a moment. But Mike, that is the wide receiver room. I hope they do something about this in the meantime, because we are down to roughly about 11 days till the kickoff to the Steelers season, in just a little over a week from the kickoff to the NFL season. Um, things got to start happening.
yeah. Something has to give way here. Like Ayuk, that's a pipe dream. That's not going to happen. So they got to look somewhere else. I know one of the, it's like Ron says, and I was about to say it as well. Sources say the Steelers might have to take a look at Noah Brown, since what's his name from the Broncos was already picked up by the Lions. So
Who was
we got
picked
to
up?
do something
Who's
here.
picked up by the Lions?
The one receiver for the Broncos who was released, that people were saying, oh, this guy might garner some trade interest. Like maybe the Steelers should look into him. It's named Patrick. I can't
I
remember.
don't know.
He's a really good third down receiver, but he's had ACL and Achilles heel injuries the past 2 seasons. So he was like a no go in my book just because of the injury concerns. We have enough of that on this roster.
Mike, let's talk. Let's go over some of these people that we did release over the past day. Yesterday at 4 o'clock was the deadline, so we had to cut this roster down to 53 men. The people that we got rid of were by way of Jack Coletto, who's a running back, Tykeem Doss, an offensive lineman, Joey Fisher, an offensive lineman, Des Fitzpatrick, name that we certainly thought could have made this team, Zion Gilbert, the DB, Thomas Graham, the DB, Marcus Hayes, the linebacker, Jeray Jenkins, Kyron Johnson, Willington Prevalon. My big surprise is John Rice Plumley, Aaron Shamplin, Jacob Slade, Matt Sokol, LaCoy Washington, Deuce Watts, Rodney Williams, Jacoby Wyndham. These are the guys that were released. Also, there is to the injured reserve goes Jeremiah Moon and Dylan Cook from the offensive line. Physically unable to perform list holds Cole Holcomb. And on our injured reserve list is Ryan Watts, the DB, and Julius Westcloff, the German linebacker. So, I mean, there's probably about 3 names on this list that I could have seen making the team, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Plumley being one, Fitzpatrick being another, maybe another guy here, maybe another guy there. Those are my two, especially as you said, Scotty Miller isn't exactly the most productive receiver. Why wouldn't you've gone with somebody like Dez, who does, is somewhat productive? We've seen in the 3 weeks of preseason. Mike, that is our list of guys that's been cut. Any comment on that before I talk about the final roster?
No, look for Jeremiah Moon and Dylan Cook to come back onto the roster at some point this year, because they're on the designated to return IR. So those two will be back. And till that time, look for Leal to be that fourth outside backer.
This is your Pittsburgh Steelers, your 53-man roster as we speak. We're going to start on the offensive side of the ball. Like your quarterback room is Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen.
I got all three of those. That was the hardest quarterback room to put together.
I certainly, I mean, you would think at this point it looks a little bit more promising than Pickett,
Yeah.
Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, but we will see what Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen what they could
Yep.
do. Running backs coming, I don't think there's any surprise here. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, and Cordell Patterson are our three running backs. I thought maybe one of these other guys might have made the team, but we signed somebody to the practice squad yesterday from the Eagles. We're going to talk about that in a few
Mm-hmm.
moments. Wide receiver room, we already spoke of Calvin Austin III, Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, George Pickens, and Roman Wilson, who has not played at all yet. That's a bit concerning to me. Mike, our tight ends look like this: Pat Fryermuth, Michael Pruitt, and Darnell Washington. A pretty good tight end room.
Yeah, good tight
Tight
end
end
room there.
slash fullback Connor Hayward. In our offensive line, Spencer Anderson, James Daniels, Troy Fatanu, Zach Frazier, Broderick Jones, Ryan McCollum, Mason McCormick, Dan Moore Jr., and Isaac Siamalu. That is as good as it's going to get for the Steelers. Any way
Yeah.
you slice it, uh,
And
those are our guys.
yeah, and I hit that group right on the nose. Not a lot of people had McCollum making the roster, but he's the only other guy on the team who's an actual pure center. And you don't want to go in with Frazier and then Spencer Anderson, who's a jack of all trades, being your backup center. So that's why McCollum makes the roster right there. He can actually be a center if something, God forbid, happens to Frazier.
The only thing, as I was saying, Mike, the only two things that I thought that could have been different, perhaps having Des Fitzpatrick in the wide receiver
Yeah.
room, and also having, I thought J.R. Plumlee was going to be at some capacity a part of this team. I guess we'll now wait if these guys pass through, waiver situations, they
Mm-hmm.
could return to the practice squad, and that's not out of the question. So we'll wait and we'll see. It is what it is. We had to get to 53 men. Let me hop over to the defensive side of the ball, Mike. Our defensive line at the moment looks like this: Montravius Adams, Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, DeMarvin Leal, Logan Lee, Isaiah Loudermilk, Dean Lowry, and Larry Ogunjobi. No big surprises here, Mike. Anything that you see that's
Yeah,
surprised to you?
yeah, I was surprised Lee made the active roster. I thought he would be a guy
Lee
that
would be the
makes.
one, yes. That I
I thought
would.
he would have snuck through, try to sneak him through on the practice squad, but I have no problem with him making the 53.
In my opinion, Mike, this is one of the best linebacker rooms in the league.
Oh yeah.
This is our linebackers: Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, Tyler Medikevich, Patrick Queen, Landon Roberts, TJ Watt, Peyton Wilson, and Mark Robinson. Mike, any one of these guys in the game at any given time, I'm okay. There's
Yeah.
no real fallback to where you're like, oh crap, he's in. I'm okay with every single person on this list. Of course, you want your higher skill
No,
players
you
in,
were your yeah.
but Mike, anybody on this list, I love it. I think our linebacker room is probably as good as I've ever seen for the
Yeah,
Steelers.
especially yeah, with
And
someone
that's
like
saying a lot.
yeah, like Herbig could be a starter on my God, over 25 teams. He could be a starting outside backer, edge rusher, whatever you want to call him, on any team. Same thing like Queen Roberts. Those guys would be starters on teams. Wilson would be, that guy ready to become a starter on a team in a few years. And here he's buried number 3 in the depth chart. So that's a nice linebacking core right there. Like you said, one of the better ones we've had in a long time.
I gotta say,
Just
because
from
you
top to bottom,
top
too.
to bottom, because we've had really good 1 through 4, on your starting
Yeah.
defense, and then you have a little bit of depth. But my God, every single linebacker on this depth chart, I think I would be fine with it at any particular point in the game. Of course, you do want your best guys in
Yeah.
your biggest moments, but Mike, come on. Let's go to the defensive backs. Beanie Bishop is on the team. He did make it. Deshaun Elliott, the safety, Jalen Elliott, Minka Fitzpatrick, Dante Jackson, Corey Trice Jr., Darius Rush, Joey Porter Jr., Miles Killebrew, and DeMonte KZ. On paper, this looks like a pretty good secondary.
Yeah, that's a good secondary too. Like you got some speed out there too. Like Dante Jackson, he can fly. Minka can actually maybe play center field this year. back to where he should be to be that ball hawking safety that we need him to be.
If you
I,
want
I like this. I like the
if you want
secondary,
prime
but
production from him, I agree 100%.
yeah, if not, we're
He's
getting
still
into like the
solid.
still solid, but we're getting into the excuse era of Minka Fitzpatrick. Oh well, the front end was a little banged up, so
Right.
he had to do more. Oh, the corners were banged up, he had to do
I just
more.
want to see him do
He
his
was banged
job.
up last year. Just go out there and make plays. That's
Yeah.
what you're being paid for. He's not making the excuses, but a lot of fans and media are. But I like this secondary. You got good starters. You got some young guys that I was surprised Rush made the team. I thought he'd been another guy on the bubble. I had him on my roster, but I thought he might have been one that snuck onto the practice squad again. But I think he has potential. But so that slot spot, man, we only got really Beanie Bishop to be our slot guy. He needs to lock it down.
He does. We also, I mean, like as I said, the search continues. We're going to continue to look around the league. At this point, though, I mean, these are guys that got cut, and
Yeah,
you don't know what it is you're looking at.
you're hoping to find a diamond in the rough.
Exactly, and it seems most likely that Beanie Bishop will be a big part of this defense. But we do again have about 11 days. I know that the search for the wide receiver and the search for the cornerback still hasn't ended, Mike. But these are some names. I'm going to give you some names here. I know you want to have to go over these special teams. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
Kicker Chris Boswell, of course, made the team. Cameron Johnston, the punter, and Christian Kuntz, the long snapper. And that is your 53-man roster with the extended practice squad from, I think, last year, the year before. They did extended by a few players, but we will know who our practice squad players are soon once they go through all this next step and we bring our guys in. But I think we'll get a couple of these guys back that we like, Mike. Again, a couple of them I'm pretty shocked that they didn't make the 53, but at the end of the day, you only get to keep 53.
exactly. Yeah, that's hard this time of the year is finding, you know, guys that God, you can love a player, want him on the team, but my God, he's at a position where we have too many guys, and we got to make room for other positions. So some guys, that's why some guys get cut, man. But hopefully we can find one of those guys or two of them, one for the receiving core, one for that defensive back spot. Maybe
Yeah,
we need some.
absolutely.
And I'm surprised, like the depth on the D line kind of it took care of itself. That was one position I was really worried about going into this season, but seeing how Dean Lowry was playing after he came back from injury, he's a nice depth piece, nice veteran to have, and the way we all stepped up is huge. And you keep Ogunjobi and Cam healthy, this is a nice D line. Went from a
Yeah,
weakness to a solid unit real quick.
I want to see this D line play for about 4 or 5 weeks before I make that
Yeah,
call because you have a lot of
that's fair.
age.
Oh yeah,
You have a lot of
yeah,
age on this team.
yeah.
And you kind of have to give that time to see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, this list here is a list that I saw that was said that these five players are teams that are players that the Steelers should consider bringing back, and I think they're all former Steelers. I think I know at least two or three of them are. Let's go over this list real quick, Mike. This is a list after the 53-man roster was decided who the Steelers should bring back. Miles Boykin, Tim Patrick, Noah Brown, of course, all wide receivers, Allen Robinson, and
No,
finally safety Lewis Kine. These five names are list. I mean, from what I believe I read, it said that these guys were Steelers, and these are five players that the Steelers should consider bringing back. Mike, anybody on this team worth coming back to you? I mean, as Ron said on the board, Tim Patrick has missed her injury.
yeah,
Uh,
he was the one from Denver, but I thought he got picked up.
yes,
I could be mistaken. Yeah, he got picked up already by the Lions. Allen Robinson, I had hopes for last year, but it didn't work out. So no, Boykin, I would bring him back, but it's going to be as a special teamer, as a gunner. That's where his value is anymore at this point, and it's not as trying to find anything of value out of him as at the receiver spot. So for special team wise, yeah, I have no problem bringing Boykin back. Noah Brown, he's someone I would bring on to the team. He got lost on the depth chart down there in Houston. I think he can still be a productive player. I think he'd be even more productive now if he can get more playing time here. The other guys, nah, I'm not too big on.
it's a pile of crap.
Yeah,
Almost like when you go to the thrift store and you know there's gonna be a bunch of garbage, but you're gonna
yeah,
you're gonna sift around through it anyway. See if there's anything that you like. See if there's anything that you could grab out of it. Yeah. Okay. So here is the list. It's okay. Miles Boykin, not for receiver, but he's a quality gunner and is needed for special teams, as you said, Mike.
yeah.
Tim Patrick, he did go to the Detroit Lions. His notes were this: despite his injury history and age, he'd likely beat out Van Jefferson for wide receiver two. The note under Noah Brown was this: another wide receiver two option. Lewis Kine, number 4 on this list. Maybe cut Jalen Elliott for Kine. Kine has more potential and can be in the final defensive back spot until Cameron Sutton returns. And finally, Allen Robinson with his side note. Robinson is the worst of the receivers on the list, likely being a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver for 4.
We have a lot of receivers 3 and 4.
Yeah, we're not in the market for any
Yeah,
more threes or fours.
like Noah Brown as like the number 3, number 4 in Houston last year. He had let's see, 55 catches, 567 yards, 2 touchdowns. That would be a nice addition to the receiving room. That would literally make him the number 2 receiver based on yardage in production. That's what
Yeah,
I would go with right there. He would be the one I would get. You have him, Jefferson, um, George Pickens. That's nice 1, 2, 3. Roman Wilson, and then work him in when he gets back healthy. Then you have Calvin Austin in there. That would round out a okay receiving core, make a questionable one a little bit better. I just like the production is there for him, even though he was down on the depth chart in Houston.
Mike, you have any? What about this guy? This guy was just released by the Washington Commanders yesterday. What about Mr. Martavius Bryant? The guy was really starting to
Yeah.
blow up whenever he again. Now there's some issues happened. I thought that he was an excellent player whenever he was here. He was out of the league for a while, then he was in the sub leagues for a while, and yesterday he got cut by the Washington Commanders. Mike, do you have any thought one way or the other on Martavius Bryant?
It's time to move on with your life's work, sir. It's he tried last year to catch on to a team and didn't work. He couldn't catch on this year in a
Mike, do you
receiver
think he may
hungry.
be a little bit more productive than some of the guys on our lower end of the depth chart at that position?
No, no, he struggled in the XFL or UFL wherever he won. He really hasn't done anything since he's been out of
From
the
what I
league.
remember,
He's
he did very
37.
well.
He's 32 years old, man. He's
And we
This is
have,
when guys are starting to retire.
yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the situation because in other situations we might been okay with that. Again, I thought he played pretty successfully in the sub leagues, um, but again, I haven't seen him play football in a while, so it's hard to say. Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson. I don't know. I don't know.
I'd rather have Roman Wilson now than
I've
Martavis
never seen
Bryant.
Roman Wilson play a down. That's
I
the
saw him play.
problem.
I saw him play a lot in college. He played really well in
That's a
college.
different league. You can't go by
Yeah, I
that.
know.
You
Yeah,
know.
but my God, I'd rather have him than 32-year-old Martavius Bryant who can't make a
Interesting.
roster anymore.
Interesting. Also, I do want to address the guys on the board. Both Brian and Ron said, bring back Cower. Ron says, I agree. Bring Cower back. He had a real coaching tree. Mike, I'm sure you're rolling your eyes over that. I like the idea. Mike, I'm sure, has a different opinion. Mike, what do you think? Again, this is for shits and giggles. Don't get too far into it because we have a show to do and move on. But Mike,
Are we getting Cower in a time machine? Are we hopping in a time machine and bringing
well, of course.
98, 99 Cower with us?
No, we went 2005 Cower, who was
Well,
able
can
to
we
get
get
it done.
if we're getting time machine, we're getting 2005 Cower.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
Cower now, no.
Of course, we're getting
Are,
a time
are we
machine.
getting
What are you crazy?
and along the way are we getting prime he was the GM Kevin Colbert as well. We'll bring him in too.
Yeah, I
He's the
guess.
real architect of those Super
Well,
Bowl
you wouldn't have
championships.
Mike if Mike Tyson was going to be facing off against Muhammad Ali. You wouldn't have 90-year Muhammad Ali fighting 22-year-old Mike Tyson. That's come on.
No, I'm just saying, Just wanted to
Use
I
your
just wanted to
brains.
know I wanted to know the parameters of the hypothetical.
Use your brains.
I
Uh,
was, and that's what happened. It just kept thinking.
one guy that we did bring and sign to the practice squad was his name is what is his name? Scott. His last name is Boston. His first name is
Boston.
Boston. Boston Scott.
Boston Scott. I was wanting to call him Scott Boston today.
He did get signed to the Steelers practice squad. A lot of people seem to like him for whatever reason. That was a big thing when they did that yesterday. And you know what? I don't know, Ron.
Eh,
Again, this is going to be something you could go on with him forever, and he will not stop. So I just I kind of turn the other way on this. But if you would still like to go at it with Mike on Tomlin and Cower, feel free. We're here for an hour. Um,
Like this Boston Scott, veteran depth. Like he'll get you 4 yards to carry. That's what he's averaged in his career. He's never had over three.
How long has
He's
he been
never
in the
had
league?
over 375 yards rushing in his career, but he's never had more than 87 attempts. So he's a nice backup
How long has
to
he been
have.
in the league?
Uh, since 2018.
Okay.
He's
Boston
29 years
Scott.
old. He's old. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get Martavis Bryant and Cam
Well,
Hayward
you
can
got
all
to
sit
think,
in the
Mike.
corner and
The
eat
old
porridge.
is the new young because with 2020, everything got pushed back a year, and it's so
Uh,
weird because everything that I see, it's like a guy who was playing the other day. He was like he's a 26-year-old rookie, but that's not bad because of 2020. So
it's like
that's the
what?
new answer.
That math
COVID.
is not
Well,
mathing.
you know what I'm saying. The point
Yeah,
being, his guys
yeah.
come out a little older because it
Yeah.
should eventually work its way back to the way it should be.
Hey,
Ron says from the Eagle. Yes, Boston Scott. I've never heard of this guy, but I guess we'll see. He is only on the practice squad. You may or may not even see him this season, but he is there. Also, Mike, on the offensive side of the ball, Broderick Jones. Now, this situation's scaring me a little bit.
yeah.
Um, because these are the two latest quotes I got from Broderick Jones over the past couple days. I don't know what position I'm playing. That's not good. A week and a half before the season kicks off, a guy who's struggling at every position that he plays doesn't know what position he's playing.
He's playing
Scares me a little
offensive
bit.
tackle. He's a
What's
little
that?
baby. He's becoming a little crybaby.
Well, yeah. And also later on, it says later on in the day, he says, I guess I'm staying on the right for now. So that is the Broderick Jones scoop at the moment, Mike. I'm getting a little worried about this offensive line. I think we should be feeling a little bit better than we do about it. But from what we saw in preseason, from what I'm seeing just on Broderick Jones, this is becoming a concern for me. The offensive line is.
He's becoming a concern for me. He's sounding like a baby. Oh, I don't know where I'm playing. Like you
Well,
say
if
to
he
the
doesn't know
media,
where he's
hey,
playing, how
I'm
can he
going to
know?
be either left or right tackle. I'm prepared to go for wherever they put me. Use a little little
I don't take
media
him as the
savviness.
smartest guy ever. I gotta
But
tell
he's
you.
not like I listen to him in interviews. He doesn't come off as dumb, but he's just come out and said, I'm not going to tell you what's on my mind type of guy. That's
I
great
like
for
it.
us because it gives us something to talk about. I
I like
appreciate it, Broderick.
the transparency. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I like it. But at the same time, as a fan, it's like I don't want to hear that, dude. Just feed me bullshit, man. Give me sunshine and rainbows, buddy. But I'm hoping Fatano will be ready for the opener, but I don't think he will. And do you want to run him out there with only having a handful of snaps in the preseason? So you got to go with Broderick Jones and his bum elbow out there, and that's until that elbow gets right, he's not going to be right, or until he gets comfortable with punching with one arm and not using both to
Mike,
overcompensate.
does this guy become a bust?
I don't want to go that far because I liked what I saw last year from him. I liked the way he was trending it towards the end of the year, getting better. He was getting better at pass blocking at the end of the year, and then this year he complete breakdown of mechanics. So I'm thinking it's just that elbow injury is getting too much into his head. He's overthinking, and once he stops doing that, I think he'll be fine. But you
Even
can
listen, even if
you
he's having a
can
hard time adjusting to whether he plays on the left or the right, I'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive just as a
yeah
football player.
yeah that's
Where's that
yeah
at? That's what I want.
yeah
I don't care what side you feel comfortable. I want to see that
yeah
you at least look ready to play football.
yeah.
He doesn't look like
It,
he's ready to play football to me.
No, no, huh? And we saw last year. He was the catalyst of the run game coming to life. He was the one pulling from the right tackle position, opening up these big holes for Najee and Jalen Warren. And like you said, we're not seeing any of that aggressiveness, and that's what's scary. At least if you're being aggressive and you're making mistakes, I can live with that. But when you're being overly cautious and making mistakes like he is in pass protection, that's when we get issues. That's when something's not clicking right, and
He
it's
looks
not because
timid.
he does.
You
Yeah,
can't go
and
to the NFL, stand around on the field and look
no,
timid. You
no,
can't. These guys will eat you
yeah,
alive.
and it has to be that elbow. Him and the team probably aren't letting on as bad as it is. I'm thinking once Fatano comes back, and shows that he can be in that spot, they put him at right tackle, let Broderick Jones rest for a couple weeks, get that elbow right, then have him take over for Dan Moore. Because the plan all along was for him to take over for Dan Moore, but he's cementing himself in that spot because Broderick Jones is playing like shit. Like really, Jones has no one to
Yeah.
blame but himself.
So the last 2 years drafts, we were supposed to be building this offensive line. I don't know if I feel any better than I did this time last year. Of course, a couple of the guys are a little bit young. One gets thrown into the starting position of talking, of course, about Zach Frazier, who's going to be starting at center. I don't think there's any two ways around this. Also, this issue with Broderick Jones that we speak of, and Fatanu, who Mike, you said that you don't even think he'll be back for the opening game. I mean, this has disaster written all over it. I mean, unless some of these things don't happen or don't come true that we're talking about, I can't imagine the offensive line not being a disaster once you get into meaningful games. Once you're playing teams that you're playing games that matter. Again, just a little extra concern, Mike. The offensive line, the wide receiver two, in that final nickel cornerback are three concerns that I have going into the season. I don't know how much you're going to be able to do more about these. As I said, I know that the Coach Tallman and Omar Khan are looking around the league, seeing what they could do to fill those spots. But I think that this is the offensive line, Mike. This is what you're going to get. This is what they're going to march out on the field in 11 days. And, if they do good, they do good. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah, God, I'm a little bit more confident in the line than you are, but I get what you're saying. Like, you know what we're gonna get out of
They looked
Ciamala and
bad in practice
Daniels.
games. Wait till
Yeah,
these guys are moving full force and you're facing starters
yeah,
all game for four
yeah.
quarters. It gets.
Who would have thought though that Dan Moore would be the best playing tackle on the team right now?
Yeah. Did we
Who would have
jump the
thought?
Did we jump the gun by sending Mason Cole down the road?
No,
No.
no.
You don't
He
think we
was.
made a better position than starting a rookie? And
Oh no, I'm liking what I'm. Even though it is preseason, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Zach Frazier a whole hell of a lot more than what I saw out of Mason Cole down the line last year. Yeah,
all right,
Mason
again,
Cole
we
was
haven't
supposed to
really
come in and
seen
be
we
a
haven't seen much. I mean, we could see Frazier
yeah,
next week, and he could be a disaster again. A rookie
yeah.
coming in, no experience. So
I just think for the upside that you're going to get out of him in the long run, I'm willing to take the learning bumps with him over Mason Cole. I
okay.
thought I had pretty good high expectations and high hopes for Mason Cole when he came in because he wasn't a bad center, but we saw why he got released by the Titans the year before.
Offensive linemen, they have a lot of problem with their knees. What if Zach Frazier blows his knee in week one?
See, don't be speaking that into
But this is
existence.
reality. These are things in the
Yeah.
NFL that happen
Well, if
from
that
week to week, and
happens, well,
then where are
he
we at?
he got to hope McCollum can step up.
That's what I'm saying. Mm.
Uh, see, you can be real excited about the team, but just don't go down the depth chart and start
Yes,
projecting
right.
injuries. Once you start
If
projecting
you just want to
injuries,
drink beer and cheer on the Steelers, then you're in good shape.
yeah, if you want to start analyzing the team, you start to become worried about a lot of these position groups. Like,
Sometimes
but
I wish I was that
it's
guy.
funny though. Like, who would have thought Dan Moore would be one of the few offensive line like Dan Moore, Ciamala, and
Is a
James
bright spot.
Daniels. Those are the three you don't have to worry about. And two of them you're going into the season. Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about them. Everyone in the NFL knows they're good guys. But then you throw Dan Moore into that mix, and it's like a head shaker, head scratcher.
Just two preseasons ago, they were running into and blocking one another. Let's
Yeah.
hope here, 2 seasons removed, that they could bring it together, and hopefully that's not the big issue going down the road. But as I
The best
said,
part is one of those guys was James Daniels that ran into
I know
someone,
it was. It was.
but
It was.
he ran
It was
into the guy.
Chooks. It was Chooks and James Daniels.
Yeah, and Chooks is in here, and James Daniels has been better ever since then.
Yeah,
James
we'll
Daniels
see.
has not given up a one sack in 2,000 snaps. Like, what the fuck did that happen?
I know the offensive line didn't do great things in the preseason to help the starting team all the
No.
way up until the very last game. So again, it is a big question mark. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter which way you slice it. The offensive line,
Yeah.
again, after reading off this wide receiver room, I tend to think that may be an issue as well, Mike. Of course, everybody wants their hands
Yeah.
on Brandon Ayuk. We don't know what's going on with that, but at the moment is George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, and Scotty Miller are your five wide receivers on this football team. For let's just look at these five guys real quick here, Mike. Again, you read us off the statistics for Scotty Miller. Not so thrilled about this guy. Roman Wilson, he hasn't played it down. Um, not real thrilled about that. Calvin Austin third, he was out his first season with a ankle, and then last year he comes back. I don't know. Did he live up to what we were hoping and wanting? I don't know.
Like he had that one real nice long touchdown pass, or he blew up the play there for a
Yeah, down the
touchdown. But he
middle of the
follow up
field.
the following week, just couldn't hit on it. I want more out of him, but was that the limitations of the Matt Canada offense, or is
Van
it just this guy just
Jefferson.
isn't? Oh, oh,
I'm not. See, I still have to be sold on this Van Jefferson thing. I
me
was
too.
getting more out of Quez Watkins and more out of Des Fitzpatrick in the preseason than I was from Van Jefferson.
He had a couple nice long catches, nice routes that he ran. I liked him, but his best production came in year two of his career. That was how long ago? That's why we better hope that the scheme is going to get these guys yardage. The scheme, the way they use Najee, Jalen, and Frymuth, it's going to have to take pressure off these other wide receivers off of Pickens.
Hmm. So there you have it. The cuts are done. 53-man rosters in place. We have 11 days till we kick off against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, Georgia. A lot of question marks, I think, at this point. At
Mm-hmm.
this point of the season, you would like to see less question marks and more answers.
Yeah.
However, after finishing up preseason with just over a week left to the season kicks off, Mike, I have more question marks than I have answers, and they are, they're the big shining ones as well. It
Mm-hmm.
isn't like, the quarterback situation we have could be messy, but you know what? That's not a concern of mine. I think that these guys will probably play good
Yeah.
enough, or at least should be able to outplay, at least should be able to outplay Kenny Pickett and at least get that, get those kind of wins between these two guys. But Mike, those three other things are shining, big blinking
Oh yeah.
Christmas top tree stars. I mean, come on.
I have more faith in the defensive line than I do the offensive line, and
And
I
that's
had that.
yeah.
That's how it was reversed coming into the preseason.
And
Was the
all
other
they have
way.
is their elders. The whole, I mean, come on,
Yeah.
two of the three starters
Yeah.
are, they're older than you.
Yeah.
They're definitely
They
older than
are.
Derpy.
Yeah, they're definitely older than the Derby. Cam Hayward is about my age or a little
Yeah,
bit. No, he's a little
he's a
bit
little
younger. I'm
younger.
43. Yeah, yeah. But it's yeah, you just gotta hope Keanu Benton can keep playing the way he was this
And
preseason.
that's the thing. You have to hope that
You
those
have to
guys
hope.
keep it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Him and Herbig look like legit guys. Like they're gonna be legit
I've
playmakers
always
for
like I
years to
tell you,
come.
I always like Benton. I always like Liel, Mike. I think that these two guys, given the opportunity, especially Liel, we've
Mm-hmm.
seen a little bit more of Benton last season. If you get these guys in there, let them get their, get
Yep.
their engine moving a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they can make some big plays. So let's just hope
Yeah.
that's the case.
Yeah. Benton looks like he's gonna make that big rookie to year two jump.
So
And
far, so good. I
so
agree.
far, so good. And Leo, he admitted last year it was all on him. He was the reason he wasn't on the field and making plays. He fucked up and he's corrected everything. And you're seeing what we saw in his rookie year in his handful of snaps that he had. He can be a disruptive force on that D line. So that's comforting for some of these young guys. But we got to hope that they keep getting better. A
Like
lot
the
of
NFL,
hope on this team. You got to
yes,
wing it a prayer on this team.
a lot of hope. Mike, the NFL will continue to use the chain gang in 2024. A lot of talk of getting these major sports changed over to technology. They will not be implementing the electronic measuring system just yet. It's all going to be coming, but they are going back to the traditional chain gang, which I like. I like the mix. I like the chain gang, and I like to watch the line on the field that
Yeah.
they don't see. But Mike, it's all going to be electronic. It's all going to be
Mm-hmm.
new, but we still have the chain gang for at least another season.
We should have it should all be electronic by now. My God, they have it in just about every league over in Europe for soccer. They're able to check instantly if it was a ball crossed the line or not. It can be the same thing on with the ball and the down markers. Because there's how many there's highlights of them showing like this far away, that's a first down.
Or what about when
This
the
far
referees
over,
move the
no, it's
ball?
fourth
This
down.
is something
Yeah,
I've
and they
never
move it
seen
back and
before.
forth. And
I
yeah,
seen last year it was worse than I've ever seen because, as you
yeah,
said, sometimes you do see move a little forward a little bit. Like I seen guys take the ball and move it 2 feet.
yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's wild because
I mean, are we
It's
just supposed to just go with it and say, okay, well, it is what it is? I noticed guys taking the ball and moving it
yeah.
feet.
Yeah. And like, and you can see, like, if you look, where's the line judge who actually spotted where they're out? And it's behind the line judge. The
Right.
line judge is the one who makes the call of where the ball should be. Because they see where it comes out and they're no, we're going to put it right there where we want.
Can't let the officials dictate games. You just can't. You can't. You can't. You can't. You
Give
can't.
me like, yeah, this technology is not that hard to use in the grand scheme of like what we have.
The
They use it
workplace.
in tennis, they use it in soccer.
I can't wait to see it in baseball more with these strike calls, things like that.
Yeah,
But that's coming up here in
yeah.
another moment. We'll be talking about the Buccos in just a second. But yeah, Mike, it's coming. And don't get me wrong, I do. I'm used to the way that it is. But when it comes
Yeah.
and everything is correct and there's no question about it, and you
Hmm.
look at it in real time and say, okay, that's a first down.
Yeah.
I get it. So, um,
I like when they
Mike,
have to work out the kinks in the chain and shit like that.
I like the
You
kinks in
remember
the
the time
chain.
they had to get a note card to put it in between the end of the pool
I
and the chain
do.
to see if the ball made it through there or not. It, that's kind of why I want to see the chain gang stay around, but no.
Yeah.
Now I'm 50-50. I talked myself into it.
Mike, let's hop over to the diamond. Pittsburgh Pirates, game two. They were hoping to tie up the series with the Cubs, the lowly Cubs. You come into a series with the Cubs and you have Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, and Paul Skeens. All three of these guys are your starting pitchers for the three. You think you have a pretty decent shot because you're playing the Cubs. You're not exactly playing the Yankees. You're not even playing the Braves. You were playing the Cubs, who were under 500 when the season started. Unfortunately, now they are over 500. Get to that in just a sec. Uh, Jared Jones and the Pittsburgh Pirates, they did welcome the Chicago Cubs yesterday for game two of three. Game three starts in about 40 minutes. They'll be wrapping this up and then heading off to Cleveland to start a weekend series on Friday with the Guardians. I'm sure Derpy will have Wi-Fi that day.
Oh yeah, he'll be all
He'll
decked
see
out,
the
ready to
yeah.
go.
Um, Jared Jones, he goes 4 innings. This is his first game back after over a month being out with his injury. He had 4 innings pitched, gave up 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and 4 Ks, which two of those Ks, Mike, that did put him at the century mark, 4 strikeouts this season. He has 102 strikeouts as we speak. Um, Following him up being that he only did throw 4 innings, Beeks, Heller, Majinski, Santana, and Bednar all come in to spell Jones for the rest of the game. I got to be honest. After Beeks and Heller, Majinski, Santana, and Bednar all did very well. They gave up no
Yeah.
hits, no earned runs. They managed a few strikeouts, but at the end of the day, the starters got beat pretty bad. We out hit them 10-7, which is another weird thing that we have going
Yeah.
on. Mike, we keep out hitting these teams that we're losing to by 100 runs. Mike, they let up 18 2 nights ago, 9 last night. That's
Hmm.
27 runs in two
Yeah.
games. That's 13 and a half runs a game you're giving up against these guys with
That's
your aces are on the hill.
yeah, that's like a series worth of runs for us that we have given up. And
Yeah.
that's what we score in it. Might what we score in a
Like that's what you
series.
should let up in a week. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they
Like you
still
said,
got
in
one more.
yeah. This is gonna be a who pitches tonight, Skeens?
Yeah. Paul Skeens
Mm.
pitches. We start in 40
Oh,
minutes.
there's hope. There's hope.
The hitters have been hitting a little bit more. Let me get into this. O'Neill
Yeah.
Cruz goes 4 for 4. I
Who
mentioned
would have
yesterday he is on a hot streak. He has a
yeah.
very good on base streak going on. It's I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. He had 2 RBIs to go with his 4-4 record. Brian De La Cruz, here we are 1 month later, gets his first home run as a Pirate. Lucky we weren't counting on him, Mike, for the some offensive production over the past month. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah. Who would have, better late? Hey, better late than never. It's been
better
nice
late than never.
better step. It's a good stepping stone for next year. Just get hot now so it carries over to next year.
He goes 2 for 4. He had a run, 2 RBIs with that home run. As far as guys that had one hit, IKF had 1 hit and a run. Brian Reynolds had 1 hit and 2 runs and a walk. Nicky G back at it. He had a run and a walk. Also, Henry Davis. Henry Davis, Mike, he gets a hit. A couple guys that had walks, Triolo and Joe. And that rounded it out. The Pirates lose 9-5 in the return of Jared Jones. They, again, as I said, game 3 of 3 is today in about 39 minutes, give or take. Paul Skeens on the hill with an 8-2 record, coming in with a 2.16 and 130 strikeouts. He'll be taking on Kyle Hendricks, who has a 3-10 record, a 633 and only 67 strikeouts on the season. So, hopefully we can take advantage of the poor pitching from the starting pitcher for the Cubs. But you just never know with these Pirates. Mike, the vision looks like this at the moment. There's 30 games left. The Pirates are 62-70. There's 30 games left. The Cubs are 60, as I mentioned before, 67-66. They are now over 500 since they started playing the Pirates. The division looks like this. The Milwaukee Brewers are at the top, who have a pretty damn good record. Initially I thought they were just good because our division was terrible.
Yeah.
But you got to watch this Milwaukee team. It's a really good baseball team.
75-66. That's disgusting.
This team could make a nice run. I don't put it by them. Second place in the division is the Chicago Cubs, who's worked their way up since they started playing our Buccos. They sit at 9 games out in second place. St. Louis Cardinals, 10.5 games in third place. The Cincinnati Reds, 12.5 games in fourth place. Pirates sitting 13.5 games out in the division. And now, Mike, 10 games out of the wild card.
Yeah, I think.
How many games did they lose in a row?
10.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Like, 10 games
since
out of
the
the wild card.
All-Star game, we've won 1-2 or just 4 games?
It hasn't been many. They did really good in that series. They just played against the Red. That's the only thing that they've really done. Mike, and one other thing about the game last night, the pitcher Steele, 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 they made him come out and wash his hands.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, remember, they come out and they check your make sure you ain't got nothing sticky on your gloves or nothing on your hands. They didn't throw him out of the game. They come out and they had all the umpires in and they were checking.
Look at his hands.
And they made him go wash his hands. And they got to come back out and play. I've never seen that.
Yeah. So was it an inadvertent foreign substance?
Right.
They realized dude, you're playing the Pirates. You don't need to cheat. Just go wash your hands and let's go.
That's what the big meaning was on the mound.
Yeah.
The Pirates, dude. Come on.
Really? It's like you're cheating against a little league team. Come on.
They just gave up 30 runs in the past 2 days.
Yeah.
You don't got to do this. You don't got to do this, man.
Yeah. It's like the refs, the umpires weren't mad. They're just disappointed.
Yeah.
It's probably where dude, we're not mad. We're disappointed, man. It's the Pirates. But, be different if it was like, Milwaukee, we'd understand.
Right.
But the Pirates, come on. Aaron Judge, yeah. De La
As
Cruz,
we get ready to round third here, Mike, we do have a phone call from, hey, look who it is, everybody. Paul Skeens' mustache. Paul Skeens' mustache. It's been a long time. How you been?
Very well. I'm currently on the Derpy dial-up. So if I go in and out, I do apologize.
You and Derpy are sharing the same dial-up.
Oh God!
It's funny because unfortunately, because of the 12:35 start, I couldn't make it. The Pirate Parents, Hannah Mears and I were invited to meet Derpy and that Brian Pasquale guy up at Twin Peaks here in the next half hour.
And that's what we hear. That's where we hear
Derpy wouldn't know what
Brian
to do with
love
Twin
to hang
Peaks.
out.
Yeah, that's the new scoop. Derpy does have a new best friend.
Sources say.
But I do want to talk. I don't want to waste all my time talking about Derpy because we do have the ever famous Paul Skeens' mustache on the phone. Paul Skeens' mustache. As I said, we haven't talked to you for a while. It's starting to close in on. We're rounding third. As I said, on the final stretch, we got about 30 games left. Does it look like Paul is going to be in the rotation for the rest of the season, or do you think they're gonna yank him and shut him down?
Well, there's two factors there. That Jackson 5 got out in San Diego, the outfielder, who's currently first in the Rookie of the Year debate, which I don't understand that. He's batting a lousy 292. Paul's ERA is 216, by far the best in major leagues. 292 is not even close to the best batting average, so I don't get that. Over the next 3 starts, we'll see if that's the option. If Paul has a chance at Rookie of the Year, he'll probably pitch 5 or 6 more games. If not, I think they'll shut him down after his 20th start.
And what a lot of people don't realize either is Paul, if he could pass up Mitch Keller for strikeouts today. Of course, Mitch Keller, who's been in the rotation since day one, he is the ace. Paul Skeens can, in fact, pass him in strikeouts today. So that'll be something interesting to keep an eye on. Paul Skeens' mustache. How has, I mean, this is the first major league season that Paul's been through. He's been, he went to the College World Series. He got drafted, and before you know, within a year, he's already on the Pirates roster. How are you and Paul handling this first year in the majors?
Well, I mean, Paul's averaging over 6 innings of starts. So, it's nothing to us. I mean, it's more so how I handle the ladies over how we handle the actual art of pitching.
All right. All right.
Ooh, the ladies. Ooh, Livy Dunn's not enough for both of you. You need more.
Well, Paul, yeah. I mean, Paul has one lady. You got to have a whole nother lady for his mustache. Come on.
Oh, the mustache needs a separate lady.
You mispronounced ladies, Ryan. Ladies.
Ladies. The mustache has multiple ladies. Paul has a lady. Okay, right. Now I'm picking up what's going on down here.
Mike, what do you got? Do you have anything for Paul Skeens' mustache?
Yeah, I like you sound very bitter about being second place in the Rookie of the Year voting here. Can you tell us more? Why are you so upset?
Well, coming out of the All-Star break, we had all the momentum, and we kind of had a little slip up. We brought our B+ game, and for some reason, even though that's better than everybody else's A+ game, but it just wasn't enough. So it's our fault. We've been back on the right track the last few outings, and maybe if we can throw in another 7-inning no-hitter in there, we'll be back on top.
Well, you and Paul were toiling down in the minors. This guy was up in the majors playing. So should that be held against you both with the way the Pirates handled your situation, keeping you down in the minors? Should that disrupt the way you and Paul are treated in this Rookie of the Year race?
Well, as the projection is, I should finish up with 23 starts, the final game of the season at the Yankees. I'll probably just shut them down there. But 23 starts should be enough. But I think if it's under 20 starts, then, I would definitely hold it against Paul.
Yeah, would that be a great way to finish up the season? Ooh. Go to New York, go to the Bronx, and throw a no-hitter against the Yankees. Oh, that would almost make it worth it.
Then the amount of ladies that are going to come see Paul Skeens' mustache. They had to deal with A-Rod and Derek Jeter. Those guys are not known for their looks like Paul Skeens and his mustache are known for looks. So you guys are going to be needy.
Yeah, they were just out in the left part of the infield.
Two uggos out there
slapping each other's asses and blowing bubbles for 3 hours. This guy, I mean, come on,
yeah, you get Paul Skeens and his mustache coming in, and they're not going to know what to do with those good looks.
Paul Skeens, to this point, I think it's a little bit of a disappointment of what the Pirates have done. Just a month ago at the deadline, we were buyers. We were in it. There was a 10-game losing streak. That, of course, has been the difference in this season. How do you, Paul, and the rest of the Pirates feel about this season as we play out these last 30 games?
Paul takes full responsibility on that 10-game losing streak. He really let the team down there, going 6 innings, giving up 2 runs. I mean, pretty much all his fault. I just wanted to speak. Last night, we saw Jared Jones go out there and pitch. I mean, it's no wonder he got shelled. Did you see the chest hair that guy's trying to put out on TV? I mean, who does he think he is?
Dukes or Hazard. Yeah, you remember when the guys from Dukes of Hazard always have their chest hair hanging out and everything? That's what I thought of. Bo and Luke Duke. Mike, anything else? We got a little time. If you have any more questions or anything,
I do. It's off of baseball real quick, but Paul Skeens' mustache. What are your thoughts about Reggie Bush getting his Heisman Trophy back and getting his portrait hung in the Heisman house for this upcoming college season?
He deserves it. Pete Rose deserves in the Hall of Fame. It's a big sham. Barry Bonds, it was great to see him down at the park getting recognized here in Pittsburgh, along with Coach Leland. So, that was wonderful stuff. This anti-gambling stuff, meanwhile, that's all the sports are is gambling. And what he'd sign something and got a car or $10 or something.
Yeah, something like that. These guys weren't paid back in the day. Pete Carroll's having multi-million-dollar contract. And Reggie Bush wanted a little something because without him, those people weren't showing up to USC. So,
just look how much money Paul's girlfriend's making in college just for being hot. I mean, being a good gymnast.
Yeah. That's Mm-hmm.
Paul, let me ask you one more question before we let you go.
Yes.
We are running on late on time here. Now, how has things been in the locker room? Of course, Paul Skeens' mustache on the phone, everybody. How are things in the locker room now that after over a month, Nikki G is back in the locker room and he brings his little Mexican mustache with him? Is there any jealousy one way or the other? Because I got to tell you, Nikki G's mustache is looking pretty good, Paul's mustache.
From how tall I am, Paul's tall, 6'6", and how high up I am. Not only can I see over the offensive line, unlike Russell Wilson, we can't even see Nicky G. He's so little. So I don't even know. Does he have a mustache? Because I mean, it's like way down. It's like the blimp view looking at him.
It's a great mustache. I gotta admit, Paul. It's nothing as good as Paul Skeens' mustache, but Nikki G is in a close second. Anything else, Mike? Paul Skeens'
No, no,
mustache. We do have to start wrapping up.
I'm good with my Paul Skeens mustache questions for the
All
day.
right. Well, Paul Skeens' mustache. Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
Two things real quick before I got to go. Last night I showed Sierra how to 1-2 step.
Okay.
And the other thing is I have this ongoing bet with Caitlin Clark's pubes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She bet me $100,000 that Caitlin Clark would have over 222 turnovers this season. I bet the under. I'm thinking about 220, which is almost 100 more than the previous record. And you know who fronted me?
Who's that?
Connor McCaffrey, Caitlin Clark's boyfriend.
Yeah.
I think he wants to see the bald taco.
It's great to hear that Paul Skeens' mustache still keeps in touch with Caitlin Clark's pubes.
Yes,
a lot of good stuff. I look forward to talking to you in the future. Mr. Skeens' mustache, go out there today, get a win for these Pirates. Try not to, hope we don't get swept against the Cubbies. Off to Cleveland next. Paul Skeens' mustache, always great to hear from you. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and we will be watching you today, and we'll talk to you shortly. All right.
All right, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen.
Thank you, Paul Skeens' mustache. There you go,
Awesome.
everybody. Paul Skeens' mustache.
Always our pleasure. Always a good time when Paul Skeens' mustache shows up. You never know what kind of talk you're going to get, but you know it will always involve Poon.
That's right. Paul, not so much his mustache. That's
his
where
mustache. Paul is a stand-up young man.
That's right.
It's that mustache you got to look out for.
One other thing before we do start to wrap it up, Mike, the Fever are back in action tonight, 7:00. They do host the Sun. Sun coming in with a 22-7 record. Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever 14-16, looking to get a little closer to getting that team over 500, which I think is a big jump for the Indiana Fever. So that would be good if that happened for them. But that game is tonight at 7 p.m. Also, game 3 of this Cubs series. Of course, we just spoke to Paul Skeens' mustache. He's going to meet up with Paul because he has a big start here in roughly 26 minutes. If you have a chance, and maybe even just keep an eye on your phone, that game does start at 12:35 today. It'll be the last home game before they head up to Progressive Field to take on the Cleveland Guardians for a 3-game set over the weekend. Mike, why don't you go and tell everybody about the website?
The2dumbyinzers.com. Once you head on over to the2dumbyinzers.com, sources say you will find our merchandise. You will find the links to Ryan and I's social media. And sources also say you should definitely check out the blog over at the2dumbyinzers.com.
Go check it out, everybody. www.the2dumbyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumbyinzers.com. A lot of cool things over there. Go check it out. All right, Mike, we're going to stick with the Atlanta Falcons trivia. Of course, we always, the team leading up, whoever the Steelers play, that's where the trivia goes. And that's what kind of trivia questions we ask that week. Mike, we are on the 2-week hiatus between the preseason and the opener against the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm going to stick with the Atlanta Falcons for the sake of the game. This is the trivia question. Mike, put on your thinking cap. Guys on the board, play along. People at home, here we go. How many Atlanta Falcons are in the NFL Hall of Fame? How many people that played for the Atlanta Falcons are in the Hall of Fame as an Atlanta Falcon? I'm looking for a number. Mike, take a moment to think that over. We are live. We're live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every day right here on YouTube. Check us out. All right. So the question of the day is an Atlanta Falcons question. It goes a little something like this. How many Atlanta Falcons are in the NFL Hall of Fame? How many Atlanta Falcons are in the NFL Hall of Fame?
So that they played
Brian
for
on the board
Atlanta.
says 13.
You
They would
said,
be in the Hall of Fame as the Steelers have X amount of players. That's all I'm talking about. Doesn't matter if they.
yeah.
Okay.
God, 13. That seems awfully high for Atlanta.
Well, Brian says 13.
That's
But before we start making fun of him, let's get your answer out because you might be. Um, who knows? Who knows? What do you think?
the only one I could think of that makes any sense is Deion Sanders.
Okay.
Andre Rison, I don't believe is in the Hall of Fame. Oh wait, he might be. He might be. So there's two.
Yeah, talk it out. What do you think?
I don't think the running back one, the quarterback. No, I'm going with two. I'm going with two.
All right,
Two
so
I can
two.
think of.
Two,
Yeah.
and that's your final answer.
Yeah, that poverty ass franchise.
All right, final answer. All right, the question of the day is this Atlanta Falcons question. How many Atlanta Falcons are in the NFL Hall of Fame? Brian on the board says 13. Mike, you said two?
Two.
Two?
Two.
All right, guys. Ron Navy says 3 on the board. One more time. How many Atlanta Falcons are in the NFL Hall of Fame? 13, 3, 2. Some of the answers that we got. Final answer, guys. 9. There are 9 Atlanta Falcons in the NFL Hall of Fame. You can go look up, see who they are. I don't know off the top of my head, but that is the answer, guys. They have nine guys in the Hall of Fame. Ron Navy's writing Andre Rison. Yeah, I mean, you didn't even think, Mike. You didn't even think that was close, huh? You were.
I didn't think that was close. No.
All right, guys. Well, that's a great job. Also, Mike, I do want to ask you: do you have anything before we start getting ready to wrap it up, or was the Reggie Bush your end of the show information, and you just couldn't hold on and you started
No,
talking?
I saw that. It popped into my head, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot about that.
Anything else before we start wrapping it up?
God, yeah, Trey Essex, former Steeler offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
He just put this out on Twitter as like a crazy thought. He's like, what if the Steelers are taking this long to make an actual decision on the QB? Is they plan to start Fields and release Russell Wilson?
I've heard something similar to that.
Yeah, he's like, it's just a thought that he had. He doesn't think it's going to happen, but it was a thought, and I'm like, that is actual. That would be weird. That'd be intriguing.
I don't think it's going. We have so many issues right now in other areas. I think they're gonna start Russell Wilson. I think they're gonna go back up, go with Fields at the backup. I think they saw what they needed to see. Yep. I think Justin Fields did well. Yeah. However, you're gonna start out with your conservative. Yep. You don't want to have turnover issues in week one. So no. I think this is what we're gonna see. I follow Trey Essex as well on Twitter, the X, and I think he has a lot of cool things that he does tweet. But this I don't quite agree with just yet anyway.
Yeah. Like you said, crazy thought, but
right
now that I'm chewing on it.
Right. And I don't roll it out down the road, but as of right now, it seems that
right now
they have some other holes they have to work on. I do want to say thank you to everybody for coming and hanging out and checking us out. We appreciate each and every one of you as always. We certainly wouldn't do it without you. Everybody on the board, greatly appreciated as always. You guys always keep things interesting. Mike, anything else? You're gonna go up and get Derpy some Wi-Fi or whatever the hell his problem is?
Oh hell no. I'll get that little hamster running that's powering the modem. Maybe give it a friend so they both can run.
He's like a purist. All right. I do want to say thank you to Paul Skeens' mustache, of course, taking time out of his busy day to give us a call again tonight. The Indiana Fever do host the Sun. That game's at 7:00 p.m. The Pittsburgh Pirates start in 20 minutes. Paul Skeens versus Kyle Hendricks, game 3 of 3 of this series. They have 30 games left in the season after today. They'll be off tomorrow. They'll be back at it over the weekend at Progressive Field against the Cleveland Guardians, who I'm still having a difficult time remembering this, not to call them the Indians, Mike, but the Guardians. Ron says, sources say the show is about to end. Well, the sources are right.
For once, the sources were correct.
Anything else, Mike? That's it for me.
I got nothing, man. I got nothing.
All right, brother. Again, we do appreciate everybody. I hope everybody has a great day. Stay safe. For Mike in the Steeler Central Mobile Studio, myself, everybody have a great day. We'll be back the same time tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.